Hi, it's Celeste, your canary in the coal mine again. So talk about being a canary. I just received news in the last couple of days that another one of my high school classmates has had something seriously go wrong with his body. He's just had a stroke, and the man is a performer, so this is going to keep him from being able to earn a living until he recovers from this stroke. And about 2 weeks ago, I got a little email saying that another one of my classmates had died from advanced cancer. And 2 years ago, when we had our 50th high school reunion, when we did the trying to find people, there was over 500 people in our class, and we were able to find about 80%. So in other words, about 400 people. And of those 400 that we were able to find, we found out that about 15% of them were already dead. And I think of the ones we couldn't find, probably part of the reason why we couldn't find them was because even more of them are dead. Well, I don't know about you, but this seems a little odd to me. Supposedly, according to statistics, people live into their 80s and 90s, and yet my classmates seem to be dropping like flies. When we had the reunion, several people who thought that they were going to come to the reunion had to cancel at the last minute because they'd just been diagnosed with cancer and were undergoing chemo and radiation. Another guy actually called from an emergency room in the hospital to say he couldn't come on the day of the reunion. So what's going on here? I don't understand. Maybe these statistics have always been like this, but it just seems to me that if we're supposed to live into our 80s and 90s, that if we're already dying at age 70, then there's something wrong with this picture. And if we're not dying, we're starting into a path of the rest of our life is going to be disease of one form or another, and pretty serious ones, heart attacks and diabetes and cancer. And when we had the reunion, a number of people who did show up had just had heart surgery or they had just had a hip replacement or whatever. So they kind of looked pretty patched together, even though they did manage to make the reunion. So I'm like a little puzzled by this. Personally, I have been struggling against my own illnesses for about 30 years now. And I have some problems and some aches and pains and things show up, but I'm not being really impaired by what I'm dealing with because I'm constantly actively trying to find natural methods to counteract what's happening. And why do I have to counteract what's happening? Well, because our environment is so bad. Between the air and the water and the stuff in our foods, it's just a constant uphill struggle in a way that it probably wasn't a couple hundred years ago. A couple hundred years ago, people were far more likely to die of an infection, some infectious disease, cholera, typhoid, something that swept the country, and they happened to get caught up in it. Today, more often than not, those diseases are under control, but we're all coming down with these chronic things like arthritis and diabetes and cancer and heart disease that just kind of wear us out for the last 20 or 30 years of our lives. So that's what I wanted to say today was I'm just kind of surprised that as many of my classmates who, I don't think 70 is considered very old anymore. Maybe it is by 20-somethings, but by most middle-aged people, they certainly hope that they'll reach 70. And another thing I just heard was that if given a choice between living to 100 and not knowing what your health is going to be like, or living to really healthy up till 85 and then just dropping dead, the majority of people choose to live to 85 and just drop dead. So I know that's true with most of my friends in my age group. And another thing that we're really fearful of is Alzheimer's. We do not want to be vegetables for the last 20 years of our lives. I'd rather be taken out by something fast and quick than to have to go into that long, slow, multi-decade decline. So that's why I'm as enthusiastic as I am about finding and using natural remedies to keep myself as well as is possible for me to keep myself. And I like to share them with you. So that's my rant for today. And I want you all to be well and stay well. Thanks.